From Arizona to Washington and all the way to Georgia, welcome back to the Coast to Coast Catch-Up. My name is Let's try again. From Arizona to Washington and all the way to Georgia, welcome back to the Coast to Coast Catch-Up. My name is Cannon Griner, along with my co-host, Abe Elmore. We're just two childhood friends who grew up together, taste sports dreams, and now live on opposite sides of the country. We created this podcast to catch up, unpack real life, and share the ride with you. From deep conversations to lessons we're still learning, laughs to life pivots, it's the kind of catch-up everyone needs. Well, Abe and I created this podcast to not only catch up among the two of us, but to catch up with others. Today we have on a very special guest. Abe and I have talked a lot about where we are trying to go in life, what we're building, how we think about the future, but I'm yet to bring on the person that I'm building it with. So everyone, welcome my fiance, Alyssa.
Hi, thanks. Thanks, guys. I've been asking to be on the pod for a little bit now. I'm excited.
Well, you have been asking me, and I'm the other co-host, so I'm so excited for you to be here. Obviously, we've spent a lot of time together, more now that you're, engaged to Cannon and you guys have been dating. But man, so pumped to have you here. It's been a struggle, not only for Cannon and I to be apart, but for Alyssa, for you and I to be apart, living in Washington, and I live down here. So so excited to have you on here and catch up with you. I want to get right into it. I heard Cannon told me a little story that you got a behind the scenes clip of us on the podcast on an unedited version of the Christmas pod. And he said that was pretty funny.
I did hear the wrong version that was uploaded. I downloaded the pod to listen to it on the plane home from Christmas. And I started listening to it for about a minute and a half on Spotify, and I was like, this seems weird. And then Cannon was watching a movie, and he wasn't really wanting to take his headphones out, and then the plane landed, and I was like, I think you gotta listen to this. Is this on purpose? And it was just the back and forth before you guys started, and Abe knows it was not on purpose. It was on accident, but it was pretty funny. It was not unusual to me, but I didn't think it should be on the internet. So that was pretty funny.
I'm just glad you caught it because I feel like I've been pretty diligent about uploading them. And then Cannon was like, hey, I think you uploaded the wrong one. And I freaked out and I was like, oh God, I hope it's not a super big deal. Then I realized what it was. And I was like, that's probably the best, first unedited part of a podcast that you could probably get. So I'm glad that's all that got out there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think it's kind of funny to hear you guys. I don't know, for people who don't know you, I know you guys both super well, obviously, but that is what you guys are most of the time. And so I thought that was just funny to leave it either way.
Abe was saying we should start a blooper reel. So yeah, we'll probably have to do that at some point. That'll be coming out, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it was funny.
Really, we don't trim too much out of these clips though. Obviously the beginnings and ends, but really we try to keep everything rolling if possible.
Well, both of you are on top of it. You're pretty prepared I got a schedule for today, and so I feel prepared as well.
that was it. For people that don't know, it was the Christmas one, and which was probably the most unique start we've had. But yeah, the first 2 minutes of that unedited was pretty funny. But other than that, it sounds like you listen to a lot of our podcasts. What have you thought of it so far, and the whole idea of this, I guess?
Yeah, it's been fun. I think it's super fun for a lot of reasons. I think for one, a lot of people that aren't close to Cannon don't get to hear him talk a lot. And so I think it's fun when people get to be on that kind of inner circle and hear what he has to say, because I obviously really enjoy most of what he has to say. And so I just think it's fun because he is such a fun person and so interesting. And so I my friends who aren't as close to us or don't live close to us and don't see us all the time have seen bits and pieces of that, but it's fun to let other people in, and also fun to listen back because you guys are posting 6 months ago, and so I know what was happening at that time, and obviously we talk every day, and so I know where we were at, but it's just fun to hear the perspective of your partner and your friends when you're not in the room, because it's different, not in a bad way by any means, but it's just different when somebody's not in the room, how you talk about your experiences sometimes, and so it's fun to hear
Absolutely.
that also.
We've gotten a lot of, at least I have, a lot of feedback with just my parents, like hearing the stories and like, oh, it's fun to hear your interaction with, you know, Abe, and hearing how you interpret that story and all that.
No, it's fun. Thank you for letting me steal Cannon for an hour out of his day in his truck.
It's good. It's good for us to not do everything together. So it's good. I like it. And yeah, I think it gives everybody, similar to Abe has been plugging my vlogs on the podcast. So thank you, Abe. But
yeah, you want to just drop all your socials right here. Everyone check the screen right now.
Okay, yeah, we'll put all of my socials on.
Follow along, make her famous. She just got her first brand deal.
No, it's not true. It's not true, but my most favorite protein bar in the whole entire world did DM me on TikTok yesterday, and that made my whole entire life. G2G bars, by the way.
Whole life.
Whole life. But yeah, I think it's fun, similar to like making vlogs of our trips and stuff. It makes a lot of people, we've gotten feedback that it makes a lot of people just feel more closer to you and like more in on what you're doing in your day to day and like what's happening in your life. And so they feel less like they are so far apart from you, I guess, when you travel to see them and stuff. Like a lot of my friends, we left visiting one of my friends, Gigi, and Cannon said, I've only met her one time. What? I feel like she's like one of my really close friends. She knows a lot about me. And I'm like, yeah, it's because like all my friends see our videos and it makes them feel like they know you better. So similar to the podcast, I think it's like that.
That was a while ago.
That was
in case she's listening.
Yeah, that was a long time ago. But yeah, it's funny because that I feel like is very similar to the podcast, and you guys, it probably makes your friends feel a lot closer to you, even though you don't get to talk to them a ton.
Definitely.
For
Yeah,
sure.
it's been a fun ride. It's fun to just check in, even, you know, people we haven't had on checking in and knowing things about us that I guess I hadn't told them. So yeah, it's been fun. So what do you think about living in Washington? How would you label the stage of life we're in right now?
I would label it like organized chaos. I don't know. It's not as chaotic as the previous year of our lives, I don't think, but I still feel like it's not as chaotic because we're just doing a lot of the same stuff every day. We're going to work, we're meal prepping, we're really just kind of like in our daily grind of life, but we also live with Mac and Michaela. We have roommates who keep us on our toes, like we're always doing fun stuff with them. We live in a decently small room with furniture that we did not buy. Like we're living a very kind of funny lifestyle to me, just because we're doing minimal of anything until we actually settle down. So I think that like we're just making do with a lot of stuff right now, which is just, it's fun and it makes us feel like we can move anywhere. So organized chaos. I feel like we just have a lot. Anytime someone asks us what's next, it's a list of, well, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3, all has to happen. And so what's going to happen first? We have no idea.
Yeah.
So,
So how are we organized?
well, I think we're just organized in our day to day. I think like we're both up at 4:30 every day. We're both going to the gym every morning. We're both going to work all day. We walk in the afternoon sometimes, you know, like
Sure.
Our weekends are not organized by any means, but I think that like generally we eat the same thing. We eat turkey and rice most days of the week. So yeah.
Are you guys both? I don't think I've lived with. I don't think I've lived with you, but are you guys both the same amount of cleanliness and organized, like inside the house? Obviously, like structures and routines and like your day-to-day stuff. You guys are pretty aligned, but like in the physical home, are you guys both like the same amount of cleanliness, or is one more clean than the other?
I want Cannon to answer first.
I'm way more clean than Alyssa. I'm constantly cleaning up after her. She leaves her stuff everywhere. I have to make the bed in the morning, put her clothes away. She spits all over the mirror. Terrible.
Yeah. and we'll describe each other. I will now describe no, I actually don't. I think that we're not dirty, but we're both messy in the sense that like we both have a pile of clothes next to our bed because we'll both rewear stuff, but like we'll change throughout the day. Like we both have piles of clothes. We both have piles where we set our stuff when we come in and out of the room. Like if you look around our room, Cannon would say, look around this room. Nothing in here is mine, which is mostly true. But we're messy and like in that sense, but I do most of the cleaning, like the actual like, cleaning the bathroom, I do the laundry just because I work from home. And so I feel like I take on most of that, but it's because like on my lunch break, I work from home. So I'm like, well, while my lunch is cooking, why don't I clean the kitchen? Or like, it just gives me something to break up my day also. And I don't necessarily enjoy it, but I think it helps like clear my head. So
Definitely. You
yeah.
get that way a little more than I do. I don't necessarily like cleaning, but I try to pick up after myself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So,
you mentioned it before, where like the vlogs, like you're kind of showing Cannon off in a sense, but also like kind of expressing your guys' lives. What's something that the vlog doesn't see that maybe like I don't even know about Cannon? You know, what's something that most people, they look at Cannon, they get to know him a little bit, and they're like, oh, I got a grasp of this guy. But like, you know, there's that one thing like, oh, no one understands this about Cannon.
That's a good question. I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I would say the pretty, I guess, obvious to me answer is that Cannon is not a huge, like, affectionate person in front of other people. And actually, a great example of this is that we went to bingo with Mac and Michaela one day, and Cannon hugged me and was like, I love you. And Michaela said, I've never heard you say I love you out loud. And Cannon was like, what? And I had the same reaction, like, what? She was like, I've never heard that. And that had never occurred to me. I hear it many times a day. There's not a lack. But I think that he's just more reserved in a loving sense, or PDA is not the right word because it's not that, but like you look more, I just see a different side when it's just the two of us for sure. But I also think there's like a small piece that's been coming out more in like vlogs and stuff of like, he's just really funny and he's really goofy. And like, sometimes he's camera shy, but I get a dance move or something here and there now. And I feel like that's the things that like are fun for people to see because that's what I see all the time.
You're gonna have to video him a lot to get those goofy stuffs,
right?
Because he is camera shy, but
yeah,
no, that's good. I like that. That's a good answer. It checks out. It makes sense in my head.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What did you expect me to say?
I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect I feel like I don't hide that. I don't know. It was weird for me to hear Michaela say that as well.
It was weird for both of us to hear. I don't think you hide it, but I do think there's a level of when it's just us two that people don't see. I think that's true for anybody in any relationship, but I think it was just, I think you were just on the quieter end and Michaela and I are not. And so we're very much more outspoken about anything. So it was just, it's funny to hear her say that because both of us were like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. Let's talk about us. So you want to just tell the story of how we became friends initially?
I will tell this. Well, yeah.
Let's start with friends.
Okay. We'll start with friends. Cannon and I took swim lessons together when we were 4 years old.
Were we 4?
I think so.
Oh, I would guess younger.
I don't know.
You guys are late bloomers.
I know.
I'm pretty sure it was quite a bit younger than 4, but
okay.
That's fine.
It doesn't matter. Anyways, the reason we found that out was because I was eating a red vine. Is it a red vine or a Twizzler?
Red vine.
I get them confused. It's a red vine. And to me, red vines taste like the pool. Like the two are completely correlated. they taste like chlorine, even if they're not soaked in chlorine. And I said that to Cannon, and he said, me too. And we started talking, and it's because our swim lesson teacher used to throw them in the pool, and we would swim for them, and then we got to eat them soaked in chlorine. So that we were like, whoa, maybe we went to the same place. And then our moms were like, yeah, you did. You took swim lessons together. And we had never known. So, but we don't remember that. That's just like a funny start. But we knew each other in high school. We knew of each other. We had a lot of the same friends. We weren't super close, but our moms worked together at our high school. So by default, we're somewhat close. We're in the same office a lot. My mom sometimes was like, oh, Cannon's cute. And I was like, stop, you're my mom. I don't want to hear it. But yeah, and then I think we went to college. Like I said, we had a lot of the same friends. We were both friends with Abe. We had a lot of the same friends. Cannon was closer friends with Abe. But and so when we would come home, it was just like, who is home from college on winter break or summer break or whatever it is, and who wants to hang out. And so we just started getting a lot closer then, because it was typically us and a handful of other people who were home. And so we went camping. I don't know what. Oh, our first thing was Nando's.
Hold on. There was a camping. There was a camping event.
Yeah, but before camping. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
You're right. You might be right. Go ahead, Abe.
There was a camping event. I'm just gonna plug it up right here, right now on the screen. And I think around the campsite, for the people that were remembering it at the time, was like, this could be the meet cute. This could be the start of something. And then some time went along, and then this happened. So
yes. So yeah, Abe's right. There's a photo of Ken and I. It's probably been shown or is being shown that we're camping, and it's near our houses kind of. And so I'm not spending the night. But I went out there for a little bit, sit by the fire with the boys, whatever. And which is not unusual for me because they're just all my friends. I've been friends with them forever. And so anyways, Cannon is standing by the fire and he's freezing, and they've all had some drinks, and I'm holding.
Just wasn't feeling well.
Yeah, he just was randomly feeling sick.
His tummy hurt.
And I'm holding a blanket around him. And I do remember going home from that night and telling my mom, I was at home at the time, and I was telling my mom, like, Cannon's hilarious. I don't know why I don't hang out with him more. Like, he was hysterical. And so she remembers that too, and just kind of put it in the back of her brain. But yeah, then we were home again for Cinco de Mayo in COVID, I think, 2019. And Cannon and I our families live very close to each other in Arizona. And so we rode our bikes together to Nando's, and then had some margaritas, some food with some friends, local Mexican place. And I don't know how, we'll save it for a different time. There's a whole different story there. But anyways, Cannon and I rode our bikes home afterwards, and my house is first. And so Cannon made sure I got home safe. And on the way home, we just stuck our feet up on the bikes, and there was construction the whole way home. And we just kicked over construction cones the whole road home. And for some reason, we were just on the same page. We were like, yes, good idea.
Oh, not at first. At first, it's Cannon, what are you doing? And then I look back and she's kicking him down. I was like, okay. We're good.
I was waiting for that to get cleared up, because I'm sure Cannon was probably ahead of you and just doing, silly Cannon stuff. And you're like, what is this guy doing? And you're like, that looks kind of fun. Let me do it. Then he looks back and he goes, whoa.
Yeah, pretty much.
No,
yeah, so then after that, we went, some time had passed, like a year almost had passed. We went camping during COVID because all of our friends were home from college. Nobody stayed at college in spring of COVID time. And so everybody that we possibly knew got together and went camping. And the boys took us to Box Canyon, Cannon's favorite place ever. And it was my first time. It was so fun. And then we went camping and we just, I don't know. Yeah, we just talked a lot of the night and we were like just having so much fun together. We were still just friends at that point. And then my birthday happened the year after that, my 21st birthday. And I just was like, I had so much fun with everybody on that trip. Why don't I invite everybody from that trip to San Diego for my 21st birthday? That was my plan. And randomly, Cannon was one of the only people that came, and which in hindsight is odd. Like, we weren't that close for Cannon to be one of 5 people that came to my birthday.
In all fairness, she texted in the group chat of probably 15 to 20 people, and I was like, oh, this will be fun. I'm in. Texted back right away. Crickets. Like, everyone, nobody else was coming. Like, Drew said he'd come, and I think that was it. It was like, oh, all right. Well, it'll still be fun. I'll go ahead and go. But it definitely wasn't, we weren't close enough to be one of your 5 people going to your birthday party.
Definitely not. And it was a weird time because it was like summer, and so people are busy. And also, I'm not the closest with like the wide range of people that were in that camping group. And so it was kind of a long shot, but I was like, whatever, it was fun. Why not? And so, yeah, it was just funny that ended up happening, and probably for the best. And so, Cannon came to that, and I was actually dating somebody else at the time. And so that's just kind of a weird, funny situation to be in now. But then after that, I talked to Cannon like randomly throughout that year. He had gone to Spain, and I was planning a trip for after I graduated college. And so I reached out just like trying to decide where to go. Like, I was just curious what his thoughts were on places he had been. I knew he'd been a ton of places. And so we talked a handful of times, I think. And then I invited him and Drew to my graduation party in Tucson. I graduated from U of A, and so May of 2022, and I invited the 2 of them. And again, I don't know why at that point. I still don't know why. I just clearly I know why I enjoy Cannon's presence. Like, I just really enjoy being around him. But so yeah, I invited both of them, and it was like Cannon was like, oh, I can't come. I have a different grad party that day. And so then he surprised me, which was also funny. Like, we weren't that close for you to like be surprised. I don't know. This is all funny to hear back, but so he ended up surprising me. They showed up. I was so excited, and then we started having some drinks and celebrating graduation, and one thing led to another, and we pinky promised. First bar after leaving my party, we pinky promised that in 3 years, if we were not dating anybody, we would start dating. And then by the next morning, and I will just out myself because I'm sure everybody's going to hear it at some point. By the next morning, I told Cannon, I'm going to marry you one day. So that was probably the craziest thing I've ever said in my life. But
what? Wait, hold on. Did you say it to his face? Did you say it to his face? I've heard this story, but did you say it to his face? Did you say that? I thought you said that to your friends.
Nope. I woke up and I was late already waking up. There was no alarm set. Like, I woke up in a panic, and I was like, okay, what's happening? Like, I need to go. I need to get ready. Cannon is here. I need my head to be straight for a second. And then I was like, great time. I'm going to marry you someday. Straight to his face. It was just the 2 of us in my room. And then I remember I was like, okay, now you got to get out. Like, I got to get my crap together. I got to leave. I have to go graduate college. And then I like went into my bathroom to get ready. And I just remember standing there in front of the mirror. And I was like, why did you say that? Why did you say that?
Getting just like
it worked out.
Getting just like 10-4, good buddy, I'll leave.
Yeah, Cannon. And then I'm like, you got to get out. Cannon's like, thank God.
No.
I don't know. I would say though that I am a huge believer of like, I can trust my gut no matter what. And like, that's a weird example of that. But like, generally, like when I feel a certain type of way, I feel like I'm right. And whether it's like about somebody or like whatever it is, like I just feel like I can trust my gut pretty well. And it's pretty spot on. And so that was a crazy example of that, but it's true now. And I apparently somehow knew what I was saying. So yeah, now we do it. Should I keep going? Should I continue on?
If you want to, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, continue on.
Okay, so yeah, that happened. This is probably a weird way to frame this because it was probably my favorite time of life, actually. So I don't know, that's actually really hard to say, but it's one of my favorite times of life, but it was also one of the harder times of life, especially for Cannon. And but after that, Cannon left that day, and we were kind of just both like, all right, well, where do we go from here? Like, we either just ruined our friendship or we made it super weird for all of our other friends, or this is actually going to work. And like, I wasn't in a place to be ready to make it work. I was pretty set on being single for a while, actually. And so a day or so went by and we were texting back and forth, and then I was just in Tucson packing up my apartment, like getting ready to leave college. And I was like, you can come back if you want. And so he drove back down to Tucson, which is not like that's 2.5 hours. Like that was significant, and just spent a couple days with me. And like, we pretty much used that time to like, he helped me pack up my stuff, and we went through any life question, I feel like, that we could think of. And we were like, well, where do you stand on this? Like, what about this? What do you want out of life here? Like, we just kind of spent the days like doing random stuff, just going through everything. And we were like, okay, if this is going to work, like we both have to be sure, because we can't tell our moms. Our moms have been rooting for this. We can't tell our moms if we're not sure. And like, I'm not ready to jump into anything if I'm not 100% sure. And so we spent a good couple days. And then I actually made them leave again because it was my last night with my roommates. And I was like, yeah, you got to go. But then after that, we both were leaving for a month. I was leaving to go to Europe for a month with my family, and Cannon was going to Hawaii for a month with his family. And so we were on 12-hour time difference, like opposite ends of the spectrum. And it was just this weird, like, leaving. I was like, I actually don't ever want to be apart from you, but I'm not ready to jump into anything. And also, like, we are going to be apart for a long time. Like, I have no idea where this is going to go. And so we basically spent any time that both of us were awake on the phone and just talking about our trips, talking about anything and everything. I don't even know what we talked about at this point, but we spent that month, and I don't know what's been talked about. So Cannon's family went through something pretty drastic during that time, and I'll leave that if
yeah, that's good.
We haven't talked about it yet,
okay.
but I'm sure there'll be an episode, and we'll talk about it at some point.
So there was just something that happened at that time that was pretty
heavy,
big for their family, and not in a great way. And so they kind of came home pretty abruptly, and it was around the same time that we were trying to come home, but we were so excited to come back together, and it kind of came back with these feelings of like stress and anxiety and sadness, and there was just a lot going on. And so we came back to different circumstance, and it didn't really change anything for us, I don't think. Like, I don't know, and who knows what would have happened had all of that not happened. But I think like we still were spending as much time as we possibly could together. Like, as soon as both of us got back, we didn't want to be apart. And it was like, from that point on, we really tried our best not to be, as much as we could help it. And Cannon did ask me in that time to be his girlfriend 3 times, and I said no. 3 times.
1 out of 3.
It only takes 1. I said no because I really was like freshly graduated. I knew Cannon was going back to school, and I was like, before I had fallen into the situation with him, I was like, I am going to be single. My game plan was to become a flight attendant. That did not happen, but it was a good plan for a while. And I just like, there was just all this that I was like, no, I have to do this for myself. And that's going to sound interesting to some people. I'm sure like, oh, you gave up all your hopes and dreams, but I didn't at all. I traded them for much better things. But, yeah, I don't know. It was just this weird thing. And like, finally we had a conversation. He was like, I'm going back to school. And like, I know I had said I would never do long distance again. I had done it before in the past and it did not end well for me, but wrong person. So I was just like, I don't feel comfortable doing that again. And he was like, well, I think that both of us kind of know like this is end game. So what's it going to change? And yeah, so we went through that and Cannon went back to school. I said yes, finally. And Cannon went back to school and yeah, I came up to Wisconsin and visited a few times during that football season. We tried to not go more than like a month at a time without seeing each other. I feel like we did a pretty good job seeing each other a month, maybe like a little bit longer, but decent job there. I had also had knee surgery, so I couldn't fly for a while. It was a lot of factors, but yeah, so I went and visited Wisconsin. It was the cutest place I'd ever been in my life. And I love that little town. I would never live there, but I love it. The Wisconsin pod is already out and Cannon describes it very well. And then he came back. We both were working big kid jobs, making good money. And then he was like, I have to finish out football. I have to do it for myself and for my teammates. And I was like, yeah, I'll come with. So he asked me to come with, and it was on the phone actually one day. It was just a phone call, and he was like, I think I should go back and I want you to come. And I was like, oh, okay. I also weirdly was set on the fact that I would never move anywhere for a man, that I didn't want to move. And I was like, okay, give me a couple days to like think on this. And I think by the end of that day, I was like, yep, I'll go. I'll do it. Why not? Like, what? I don't even really like my job. Like, I'm not going to do this forever. What does it matter? So we moved to Wisconsin. I bartended there, which is random. Never done that before. And I got a job the first day that we got there. That was also super random.
There, Wisconsin.
We went
you know this person? You're hired.
We went to this bar for like some appetizers and drinks. Like as soon as we drove into town, we drove up there and we met some of Cannon's friends, and I was like, yeah, I think I'll just like try and work up here. Like that was my game plan. I'll just try and like bartend somewhere. We're only going to be here for a season. Like it'll be easy money. And Mason was like, oh, you want to bartend? You should work right here. And then I had an interview right there after being in the car for the last 22 hours. And they were like, yeah, when can you start? I was like, okay. So that was pretty funny.
I don't think you had any bartending experience at this time either, did you? Yeah.
Nope, not even a bit.
Not any after either.
None after that either. Yeah. Yeah. So we lived there. Super fun time. Full football season. I went to one college football game my whole college experience, and so that was just a different college experience for me, and it was really fun, and I really loved it. And then we came home for a couple months, and we moved to Europe, and that was one of the things that I had said back in our life talking about if this would even work out between us. I had said I really want to move to Europe at some point in my life, and Cannon was like, oh, well, I really want to play football in Europe at some point in my life. And I was like, interesting you say that.
Light bulb.
So yeah, then it was all kind of like coming to fruition, and I was like, this is really like everything is just falling into place, and we almost went somewhere. The process is really interesting. I think I just listened to the football or the Austria podcast this morning, actually. And I actually, it was long, but I wish it was longer. I feel like there's just so much to talk about there, and we'll never do it justice, but it was the best experience ever, probably.
We've got more to talk about that. We're gonna go more into Austria, trust me. But yeah, keep going.
Yeah, so we did that for the year, and like that was so almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
Anyways, then we moved and we lived in Austria for a while. We lived with some different roommates. We lived with one roommate, different apartments, one roommate, 6 roommates. It didn't even matter. I was having the time of my life, and I think Cannon was too. It was just the most fun ever. And yeah, then we came home, we talked to Mac and Michaela, and you guys kind of know, if you've been listening, like we talked to them, we moved up here, and now we've been living up here for almost a year, like 2 weeks less than a year. So, and we're planning a wedding in 3.5 months. And then we're planning a lot of other trips for weddings this year. It's the year of love.
Oh yeah.
For our friends.
Just how you envision life at 25.
Actually, kind of.
What? No fucking way. No way.
Yeah. See, when I planned it out, when I said I'm going to marry him or I'm going to marry you that morning, I already knew this timeline. I would say no twice, and then the third time I would say yes, and then we would do long distance, and then he would have a traumatic thing, and then I'd come back to him. And...
I have to. Okay. Yes, in the
Let me
sense,
recheck my entire story.
yes, in the sense that we came from a place, a town growing up, Mesa, Arizona, where it's very common to get married very early due to many different factors. I don't fit many of those factors. Neither of us do. But I think that's just the culture that we grew up in. And so I always kind of thought like 25 is like around the age that you get married. Like I just kind of, I don't know, that was just always like, there's just this kind of, I think everybody has a timeline, and it's different where you grow up, and like, I don't know, different factors make you think different things, but like there's somewhat of a timeline of like, yeah, well, probably by 25 I'll be married. Like in your head as a kid, you're like, yeah, okay, like everybody who's 25 is married, they're adults. Like, so in a sense, yes, like I thought to some extent I would be like in some phase of marriage nearby or of some sort. I didn't know to who or where I'd be living. I didn't think I'd be living here. There's a lot of things that I would never have guessed, but in like a very simple sense, yeah, I kind of thought that I'd be getting married around this time, but everything else I would never have guessed. I'd never have guessed that I would live with Mac Clapter. That would have thrown me for a freaking loop in high school. I didn't even know Michaela, so I couldn't have guessed that. Like, there's a lot of things that no, but some things kind of make sense for the timeline.
That checks out. I remember, I mean, Alyssa, you and I weren't like super close friends by any means until really you started dating Cannon. But I remember like one of our earlier conversations we had, and probably in Drew's backyard, was like, you hate Mesa so much, like you just want to get out of here. This is obviously before like you've left and gone to everywhere that you just described. And then you proceed to go to like just different worlds. You went to Menominee, Wisconsin. You went to Innsbruck, Austria. You went to Seattle, Washington. And now, I mean, I'll let you speak for yourself, but it sounds like you guys are trying to head back to Mesa. You know, why are you coming back, right? I mean, it was so terrible, you know, not too many years ago. You saw some awesome places, probably 3 pretty cool places, and now you're coming back to plain old Mesa, Arizona.
Yes.
Would you like to expand on that?
Good point, Abe. And also, if I were to go back that far and have that conversation again, I'd probably stand by it. I don't love Mesa for the same reasons that Cannon loves Mesa. Cannon loves the outdoors, and I do to an extent, but I'd way rather live somewhere like here for the outdoors aspect. I wouldn't choose Arizona for that aspect. I think this kind of occurred to me when we lived in Europe, that I always like just growing up, watching movies, like things that you hear as a kid where people are kind of like, oh, how'd you end up living here? Why do you live here? And a typical answer is like, oh, I'm from here. My family's here. So I just stayed. And I always kind of had this like, okay, so what? Like, so what if your family's here? Like, go live somewhere cool. If you don't if you don't live in a cool place, do whatever you want. Like, you have free will and you can do anything you want. You're an adult with adult money, live anywhere. And so I kind of always had that mindset, I think, and I just didn't. Growing up in the desert, I didn't love the desert. I think it's common wherever you grow up to an extent of like, well, that's just like normal. It's not anything special because you see it every day. And so I didn't love it. But moving away, I think made both of us, Cannon already was there, but it made me realize more like how much I did like being by my family. And like in college, I didn't feel that way, but I was close enough that they visited, and I was still in Arizona, so it wasn't that different. But like the time change of Austria, being so far from them, it being like so expensive and so hard for them to get to us to visit was like, yeah. And I can't imagine having kids. Like I grew up going to my grandparents every weekend. I can't imagine having kids and like them not going to their grandparents every weekend. Like I've done that my whole life, and my grandparents have always lived 10 minutes down the road. And so there was just kind of this aspect of like, yeah, I actually understand why you would end up where your family's at. And like, that makes sense. And it's weird right now because not many of our friends still live there. So I feel like the only drawback is our families and the sunshine. That's another big reason. And Abe.
That's as of lately, though.
That's as of lately.
Yeah.
For a while. So yeah, I think it's definitely changed my perspective. Now, if it was completely up to me and we could do anything we wanted, I would not. It kind of is up to me, but we're making decisions for the greater good of both of us and what we want for our family in the future. But I really would probably prefer to move somewhere in Europe and stay there forever. That's a lot more difficult, and there's a lot more things that have to go right and a lot more figuring out to do. But I'm okay being apart from my family more than Cannon is. I still want to be near them, and I'd love to live close to my siblings as they grow up. And like, but I had divorced parents growing up, and so I'm not as close. I feel like I'm used to being away from them for half the time.
Yeah.
So there's just a different aspect there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
and
want
I feel like just the amount of. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. Just the amount of time you've been away from them too. Like, you know, you had 4 years in college where you could go back and forth just real quick, and I've kind of been away for those 4 years, and so I feel like for me it's like a long-awaited homecoming. Like I've kind of had it. Like at some point I'm gonna go back, and I just keep extending it with Europe and now Washington, and probably moving back next move, but we'll see. I guess there's still.
You never know. We don't like to commit.
Maybe we do know when we know.
Yeah.
Yeah, your guys' commitment's interesting because it's like I'm gonna marry you one day, and it's like I don't know if I want to date you. Like I'm not looking to be committed right now. But
yeah, it was just a piece of like I felt torn. Like I know this is like, and Cannon can't. In my defense, actually, Cannon had said when I had said I don't think I'm ready for a relationship. Like the very first kind of conversation we had about this, like I need to be on my own for a while. I had just gotten out of a relationship a month and a half before that. That was kind of a weird situation, and I was like, I got to be by myself. And Cannon was like, okay, I'll be here when you're ready. Like he had said something along those lines to me, and I was like, okay. Like it felt no pressure. It felt like very much like both of us were fairly certain of like how we felt about each other, but I was like, I don't feel any pressure to jump into anything. Like I felt like, okay, yeah, I can be on my own and figure out what I need to figure out without any pressure. And who knows, like if I had just kept saying no, like maybe who knows, maybe you would have met somebody else. I don't know. But like for him to say that was very much like, yeah. And that's how somebody should respond. Like that was good. So yeah.
Super good. How has, I mean, I know that you've listened to kind of the pods you talked about, like living in other places, but how is it for you going from Mesa to Menominee to Europe to Seattle? You know, there's obviously a lot of challenges with that, right? You know, you talk about completely new environments. Like, I know we've talked a lot about clothing and packing for certain places. You know, communities, you know, sometimes you're there for, you know, a couple months, and, you know, sometimes you've been there for more than a year. Especially, you know, community. How have you handled that in each place that you've been? Where has it been most successful? Where has it been least successful?
Yeah. Community is an interesting one. I think Menominee, it's actually been, most places have been fairly easy, I would say, just because of football. And that has nothing to do with me. Like, that's all credit to Cannon. But I stepped into Menominee at like a senior football season, and everybody was very close and everybody was very welcoming. And I think that, who knows, this might be funny for some people to listen to, some Wisconsin people to listen to, but like for Cannon to bring me there, like, meant something to some people and was like, oh, this is a big deal. Like, okay. And they were just very welcoming. And so I don't know. It was like automatic. Here's our group. Here it is. These are our friends, and here are the girlfriends, and they were all super welcoming and so nice. And like, to credit them too, like, it didn't hit me until a couple of months of being there, but I was like, they're all in their senior year of college, and they're like being very welcoming to me, this random girl who has already graduated, moved up here for this boy. Like, they don't need a new friend. They have their group of friends. They're in their senior years of college. Like, they don't need to include me in these things. And they were all just so welcoming and so fantastic. And I just love all of them. But yeah, so that was interesting because it was like, nobody has to include me that much. Like, we're leaving after this season. It's not like we're staying here for years. I don't know. And it was very inclusive. So that was fun. And I also worked bartending, and so I made friends at that job. Not people that I would hang out with outside of that job, but it was just kind of fun to like have other people to talk to and be around sometimes. And yeah, Austria, same thing. It would have been, looking back on like my goals moving to Europe at some point in my life, it would have been really hard to do that on my own, just with no community that you're stepping into. Like, Austria was super easy because we stepped into a football team with people who also had girlfriends and wives, and it was like, yeah, this is like, I can't imagine trying to make a friend. Where would I make a friend here if we weren't playing football? Like, if we just moved into an apartment and like, I don't know, we'd be working. Where would we be working? If we work from home, like remotely, how do we make a friend? It was like, yeah, just such a blessing, I think, which I guess I don't say that really, but it was like, we were just so lucky that Barb and Kaysen were there. That's like probably the biggest thing that's come of it. I love the two of them to death. And to have Barb there was like, made all the difference. She was gone for like 2 weeks that we were there, and I was so bored. I was like, where's my friend? So yeah, everywhere. And then here, like, we live with Mac and Michaela, and Michaela has a friend from high school that lives up here. And so we meet them, or we met them, and we've hung out with them a couple times. You know, all of us will get together for dinner, play games or something. And I also got a part-time job coaching at 45 up here because I work from home, and I was like, I got to do something else. I got to get out of the house. Like, I'm losing my mind. And I kind of had it in the back of my head that I would do that. And that's really made, like Cannon says it kind of often, that's made the world of difference for me. Like, that has been probably top 3 best things that have come out of 2025 for me, for sure. And I've made really good friends there. They're awesome girls, and I hang out with them outside of it, and like, we'll go do stuff. And yeah, so it's been really cool.
Yeah, it has.
Yeah.
And I think you hit it spot on. Like, at least talking about Barb, like, on paper, Barb, I mean, Kaysen and I do match up, but you and Barb, like.
And Kaysen and I match up. Like, it's actually kind of funny how and Barb is just more, and also on paper, Barb and Cannon are the same person. Like, They are more reserved. They're more. You and Kason match up because you're friends with your opposite. You're
I
friends
guess.
with everybody who's your opposite.
I was more just saying it's funny how, you know, you guys in different worlds, if you met each other in college, you wouldn't be friends. Like
Yeah,
likely wouldn't be friends, but just circumstances make friends, and like
For sure.
you wonder where that switches, where you're like, you know what, this is my friend now, and like, and then you accept that and you become closer friends. And I
Yeah.
don't know, it's funny just talking about like just us, like where was it when we drew the line of being friends, or Abe and I, where was it for us? Like, when do you remember a singular moment where we became friends? Like
The Bears, probably. I mean, I don't know. It's
that's what I'm
dude,
like.
Yeah.
There's
Don't make me
not
think that far
one
back,
moment
yeah.
in time. It's just a prolonged
Yeah.
period of seeing someone, and like it's like
Yeah. Do you both feel like you're friends with people now that you wouldn't have been in college?
good question.
Not everybody at
That's
once.
a good question. I mean, I have to think about that, but I like what you said with all it, and it kind of clicked with me. It just takes one link in someone or something to make a connection, right? Like you might not be like on paper, you might not be like there's got to be an app. It's like, oh, this person's like the 98% best friend thing, but it's like you could be 2% or something so low, but it just takes one connection or one thing in common. And it's just like, oh man, like, you know, we're like, that's my best friend, or like, they're really close friends, and you know, we share this together, right? So in that aspect, it's so cool to think about. And I think if you thought about that more and then went out into the world, it's like, you know, making friends would seem a lot less daunting. Like I just got to make a link with one person that could be as random as, hey, I'm here in Austria. Like, like that's so random. So
Yeah, no, you're totally right. I feel like, and I don't know if this is like the phase of life that we're in, or I was just talking to one of my coworkers at the gym who's older than me by 20 years, but I see her every day. I'm friends with her. I would consider her one of my friends, but she, like, we just aren't circumcised. Like, we're not hanging out outside of this. I have a coworker who's my same age, went to school at ASU. Like, we're very similar, and then I have my older coworker at the gym, and I was talking to my older coworker, and she was saying like, oh yeah, I didn't have a great impression of so and so when I first met them, and I was like, that's so funny, because I could see, knowing that person now, like how that would be your first impression of them. But my first impression was like immediately like a girl my age. I'm looking for friends. I have not one friend here yet. That's like mine. Michaela's my friend, obviously, but like I haven't made a friend. She's my age. She's coaching fitness classes. I'm coaching fitness classes. Like she knows Arizona. I know, like there was just all this. And I was like, immediately, like it wouldn't have mattered what she would have said. I would have been like, we're friends. Like it wouldn't have, and like my other coworker was like, who is so far removed from that. Like she's older, working, like they're just in such different circumstances. She's not looking for new friends. She's just here because this is her fun job and she enjoys it. And like, she was like, I didn't really enjoy her at first. Like, it's just kind of funny that, and I was like, I could understand how you would have that perspective, but I would never, like, where I was at in life wouldn't have gotten there, because I was just like, yes, a friend, and we're really good friends, and we have done a lot together. And so it's just, yeah, I think being in your mid-20s also, weirdly, it's hard to make friends, but also attracts friends at the right places, because you're all kind of in the same boat.
exactly, yeah.
I want to know. Abe, I want to know, do you feel like you made a lot of friends in Atlanta?
Not a ton. That was something I struggled with. I think looking back on it, because I spent so much time with one person, it was hard to make friends. I will say, like, my coworkers at State Farm, it was a bunch of 30, 40, 50-year-olds. And they'd come up to me and be like, oh my God, like you could be my son. And it's just like that's not a great way to make a friend, kind of, in a sense. But then once I got to like in construction, the fellow PMs, people in the office, were males, you know, upper 20s, maybe low 30s. And they asked me a ton of golf stuff. And so through that, right, like
Yeah.
the people closest to you were my coworkers, and I would say like I still text them to this day. And one of them, we built a golf course in his backyard, and so I spent like a lot of time with them. And that was something that was huge for me to have them and be able to spend time with them outside the office and do stuff like that. But like like actually a true friend that I didn't see 5 days a week, in office, like not a ton. And a lot of that was probably because I was busy with other stuff, and then having a girlfriend, spending so much time with them, and then also working a ton. Like I just didn't give myself enough space to make friends. So
that makes sense. I don't know. I think even when we first moved here, we were going just to the regular gym. Ken still goes to the regular gym, but somebody came up to me at the gym one day and like said something, and I was like, that's the first person who's like come up to me. And then it like dawned on me, like, you don't make friends at the gym. Like people don't go to the gym thinking like I'm going to make friends today. Like most people that live here, it's not their first, they didn't just move here. They didn't, like most people are just in their day to day. Like they're not looking to make friends. They're after work, they're doing whatever. And so like, yeah, it just kind of dawned on me, like, I'm not going to make friends here. Like I don't know, like you do have to put yourself in a situation, I feel like, that is going to attract people that like you're forced to talk to them for whatever reason. And like, I don't know, there are like definitely specific places, but like it's hard because the regular gym is not one of them. I bet Cannon goes to the gym every day and doesn't talk to.
I think you find what you're looking for though. If you go to the
Yeah.
gym and you try to, help someone out or look for somebody that's, struggling, or like, hey, nice lift, like something as simple as that. You say that to them 3 times in a week, like,
yeah, that's true.
They're gonna remember your face. The next time they're gonna, hey, what's your name? Or they might say it back, and now all of a sudden there's that connection. So I think
that's true.
You find what you're looking for, and it's all your attitude towards that. Like you're looking for a friend at work, and this person fit that that build, and like now you have a connection, and so
I think I did get lucky with F45 though. Like I spend most mornings of my week with girls my age who are just there because it's a fun side job and we all enjoy it and we get to chit chat in the mornings, and so lucky for that.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So obviously the gym is something you're thinking about a lot lately. What else is occupying your mind? Let's give a present view of what's going on inside Alyssa's brain.
Okay. What is occupying my mind? Well, first, our wedding. Anything and everything to do with our wedding. What pants people are going to wear, what dresses people are going to wear, what my dress is going to look like, what Cannon's going to look like, how we're going to decorate, all the things. How I'm taking note of Cannon's facial hair each day after he shaves it to know what a good length is. I am all over the place. I typically am. My brain is typically like everywhere at once, but more now. Just with a lot going on. Another thing is trying to we just kind of set this past week, but being really intentional about lifting and eating and just really locking in for the wedding. And so we are just doing a lot of counting macros and meal prepping and all that stuff, which is actually really easy once we've gotten it down because both of us don't care too much about what we're eating, luckily. But what else? Another thing is moving back home to Arizona. What are we going to do? Are we going to buy a house? Are we going to rent an apartment? I think we kind of landed a little closer to what we want to do with that this weekend, actually. But just like what the options are there. What does the timeline look like? What does our year look like? We have a crap ton of things going on this year. And so just where are we going to fit everything in? When do we need to book everything? How much laundry do we have? Does the kitchen need to be cleaned? A lot of stuff. But yeah, all the everywhere, all at once. our bathroom mirror right now is just a bunch of notes to myself that I remember while I'm brushing my teeth or something. So that's what my brain looks like. But yeah, I'd say wedding is big, and just the rest of our year is big, because the rest of our year kind of rides on when is a good time to move back, and a good time for Cannon to start a new job and actually to get a job in Arizona, because I work remote, so I'll keep that for the time being. But then after that comes like X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't know. We have a bunch of weddings. Where are we gonna live? Can we book flights? Do we know where we're gonna fly from? Are we gonna fly from Washington, or are we gonna fly from Arizona? Like, there's a lot going on, but I think it's good. It's boring to be bored. And right now, all day I've been thinking that I can't wait for Cannon to get home so that we can finish our puzzle, because we have an unfinished puzzle on the table, and it's like almost done, and it's killing me. I just wanted to do it all day, but I waited.
Alyssa has changed a lot since we started dating. She entered this relationship hating pickles, hating fish, and hating puzzles, and just within the last
PP era.
Yeah, PPP now.
PPP, post pickle puzzle era.
And what's the Spanish word for fish? Isn't that a P? Pisces?
Pescado.
Pescado. Pisces is fish though too, right?
Pisces is in astrology.
Yeah, but it's a fish, isn't it?
Oh, I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know that one.
No, you're astrology people.
But anyways, PPP era. Yeah, Cannon thinks that every time I do something, or I say I like something new now, Cannon's like, wow, you're changing.
Not the person I fell in love with.
He's been slowly shaping me.
Just like a
manipulation. What do you feel busy, or do you feel, because you just read off like a gazillion things ranking from wedding to laundry, but like, do your weeks feel busy, or do you feel like, or is that more like all in the future of like, dude, I don't know how we're gonna figure out all, because I do know the weddings you have coming up, but it's like,
yeah,
in my head now I'm like, dude, I don't know. I don't know how you guys do all that.
Yeah.
But
that's kind of a funny one, actually, because I feel like we make our weeks busy, but they're not busy because of all the things that we have to do.
Yeah.
Like, we find things to do or that we want to do, and therefore they're busy. Like, we want to go to Costco in the middle of the week, so we do, and like we plan to do that after work. Or like today, I'm not wearing my ring because I hit my ring on a weight at the gym and I bent it, and I had to take it to the ring store. Yeah, but I like, so there's like random stuff like that kind of make it busy, but I think we're about to get a lot busier, because all these things that have been like, well, next year we have to start making all these wedding decisions. We have to make decisions on traveling. We have to do all this. And now we're here, and like we go to Mexico next weekend to visit our wedding venue. And I think after that, we'll be like, okay, it's not like future anymore. It's like, we need to figure out like what needs to happen this week. And like, it might need to look like, okay, on Monday, we need to make these decisions. And on Tuesday, like, the stuff actually does have to happen. It can't just keep being in the future. So right now, It doesn't feel that busy, other than just like random errands and day to day. But I think after next weekend, it's going to get pretty chaotic.
I think we also do a great job of, we keep everything busy, but also we're very good at figuring out what needs to be done first. And you kind of heard Alyssa rattling all these off, and I sometimes have to calm her down and just say, all right, we'll focus on this, and then we'll knock that out and go to the next one. And so I think it works well, because I'm very narrow-minded. Yeah, exactly. I will take all these and put them in a line. And so I'm very narrow-minded with that, and I'm able to, she's able to remember everything, where I'm able to get through everything. And so I think we work well in that aspect.
We do. You're good for that, because I do. I often have the like, I can name 50 different things that need to happen, or that I'm thinking about, or that are stressing me out, or whatever. And that in turn makes me want to sit there and do nothing because it's like decision paralysis. Like I can't pick one thing. I can't figure out how to start. Like, and Cannon is very good at coming in and saying, "Okay, name all the things," and he'll pick one. Like, "Okay, can we do this right now?" And then I'm like, "Sure, we could. Okay, you're right. We could do that right now." And so, yeah, we're a good team that way.
High five. Yeah.
Very nice.
No, it's been fun. So you mentioned a lot of things we have, down the road. Other than the wedding, that's the obvious one. What are you most excited about that's coming down the pipe?
I am most excited short term. I'm just most excited to like start deciding on wedding things and like the weeks leading up to it because I think that's really fun. But I'm also most excited to go to Hawaii. We're going to Hawaii this year. And for all of our friends to get married. I can't wait to see everybody's weddings. It's all wedding. I know. That's like our whole situation right now, though. We're just literally in the year of weddings. And I'm also excited to figure out where we're living in Arizona. That's a big one.
So you're just excited about everything.
I am. I'm excited to keep hiking before we move out of here because we didn't do the best job of hiking the past couple months. So I'm excited to get into that. We did a hike this past weekend and that was good. And yeah, I'm long term, I'm excited to live in Arizona again in the sunshine. I'm excited to have kids. I'm excited to, I don't know, just be in life. I feel like that's like, I've always just wanted to like be happy with my life. And I feel like I'm just excited to like see what's next.
Good. It's a good spot to be.
Yeah. I love that. It seems like you've really enjoyed each chapter of your life. Forecasting, right? Like you just talked about kids, talked about getting married. If you, again, this is kind of like a time capsule. What do you think is a good piece of advice or piece of advice that you'd want to tell your kids like right now as they grow up?
I think I would say, I think I'd say, well, this is kind of I feel like you always hear this, like you can't care what everybody else thinks. And I think that you'll only get there when you're ready to get there. But I think it's important to hear because I think like you kind of have it in the back of your head then always like, okay, but you shouldn't care what other people think. And like, it just keeps you grounded a little bit. And I'm still working on that, but I think I've gotten there a lot more and that's freeing. And I think I'd always say that you can do anything just because you want to. That's been my phrase lately of like, yeah, why not? You can do that because you don't have to have a reason. Like with, I don't know, friends being, in and out of relationships or switching jobs or like, should I go on this trip? Should I not? Like, you can do anything just because you want to. Like, do you want to? Yeah, then figure out how to make it happen. And I think that like that's just good in all phases. You can switch up anything just because you want to. If you don't like it, change it. And so yeah, I think that would be good advice.
Yeah, that's great. Very good advice. I think you've done a good job doing that in your own life.
Thanks. What would you tell our kids?
I'd say enjoy the moment you're living in. I feel like that's something I try to be conscious of, and no matter what I'm doing, make it something that I'm enjoying, that I want to be doing, and if it's not, like, is it setting me up to do that in the future? And so I think sometimes it's hard to take that delayed gratification, like I am doing this to set up the future, especially when I'm so. Like, all right, well, I want to be living at each moment. And there's a balancing act with that, right? You don't want to go too far one way or the other and feel like you missed out at any point in your life. So I feel like I'm just constantly chasing that.
Yeah, you do a good job of it.
How about you, Abe? What you got for the future, man?
Like what I tell my kids?
What do you want to tell your kids, and also what do you want to tell our kids?
Oh, let's start with your kids. So I think I would tell your kids something different than what I would tell my kids.
Great.
No, I'm just kidding. I would probably tell them the same thing. I would say do the thing. Like whatever you're thinking, whatever you're contemplating, whatever's taking space and energy up in your brain, just go do it. I think the amount of experience and the skills and whatever comes from it, but doing a thing is way better than thinking about it. And you get there a lot quicker as well. So I would just say, like, do the thing, whether it's move to Austria, go play football, or go talk to a girl. Just go do the thing. But if it's in your space, if it's in your headspace, you probably want to make it a real thing. So
How have you applied that to your life?
Well, I just flat out moved from Arizona twice, basically. And I feel like I've learned so many things from that. I mean, think about all the experiences we talked about here, but man, it's just so beneficial to go do things, right? And I think the times I do get caught up in my head, because I'm a thinker, I think a lot, and the times I do get caught up in my head, I'm like, man, just flip that switch, and then I do. So there's times I haven't done it, but I don't think there's been a time where I've done something and be like, oh, you know what, like that was stupid, like I shouldn't have done that. It's been like, no, like, would I do that again? Maybe not, but at least I did it. So
definitely, I do feel like you've changed in that aspect. Like just you putting those words out. Like I have noticed that just among our friendship. Like, you're the one that was pushing me to do this podcast, and like, in the past, I'm like, Abe will talk about it, but I don't know if we'll ever get around to it. And then you're like, all right, well, I got this set up. I'm like, oh, he's for real about it. Like I guess I'll put some time and energy into it with him. Like, let's do it. Let's get this done. And so it's been cool to see you grow in that aspect, and been fun to be a part of it, recording it through this. So
for sure. And what I would tell your kids is ask your dad something 3 times, because on the 3rd time he'll probably say yeah, because I asked you to do the podcast 3 times, and on the 3rd time you're like, all right, like I'll do that. And so that's probably what I would tell your kids. Be like,
yeah,
Dad's going to ice cream. Like, just ask him 2 more times. I swear.
Maybe you just gotta show a little grit. Put something out first, and I'll say yes. Well,
yeah, I think
that's not good because their mom's not any different.
Both of us. Just ask either of us 3 times and we're in.
So yeah, that's kind of a good thing. Hopefully I remember this by the time you guys have kids. I'll just be like, you just got to be persistent. You just got to keep asking.
We're screwed. Well, thanks for having me on the pod, guys. This is so fun.
Glad you
I've
could
been
make
loving it.
Good.
Glad I could make it too
Hopefully
in the comfort of my own home.
Hopefully you'll like listening to it as much as
I probably won't, but it'll be good to have in the future.
Oh, you'll like it.
All right. Thank you everyone for listening. I really appreciate taking your time to listen to 3 knuckleheads talk about life and what's been going on. But with that being said, hope everyone has a good day.